Donald Trump and his allies are ready to deploy an arsenal of legal tactics to subvert the 2024 election results if he loses. Been saying that for a while. Pay attention here, folks. But the Harris-Walz campaign won't let him get away with it at all. The New York Times reports the campaign has assembled hundreds of lawyers, 10 times more than Biden's 2020 efforts at this point, to fight Trump's election denialism in court. Mark Elias is back with us in his personal capacity, and Skye Perryman joins us as well. She's the president and CEO of Democracy Forward. Welcome, Skye.
Good to see you.
I want to play this. There's an 87-year-old Lydia Martinez, and she spoke out after the Attorney General of Texas, our bestie Ken Paxton, sent officers to raid her home.
I feel that they're going to stop a lot of us from going out and doing our work. And that's what they want.
She said officers questioned her for hours, confiscated her phone and computer, and made her wait outside as they searched her home.
I said, let me get dressed. And she said, oh, go outside.
What were you wearing?
My nightgown. And I had all these policemen around me. It was embarrassing, humiliating. I was so angry. It was horrible.
Skye, this was all because she was registering seniors to vote.
In Texas and in a county where many of the people that live in that county are Latino American or Black Americans. And that's what we're seeing in Texas is intimidation. We're seeing it across the board. This is the part right out of the Trump playbook, right out of the MAGA playbook. And the main thing here is I think they want to intimidate people so that they don't vote or they believe that they can't vote. And we're not going to let that happen.
Mark, pick up on that aspect of this effort by Democrats at this point to sort of reposition not just the narrative, but the effort to avoid and to deal with more instances like this should they occur. How is that planned out? How is the campaign, in your view, or how should they account for what we just heard, that level of intimidation?
Look, I think that I was proud in 2020 to represent President Biden's campaign in the post-election. We won 64 of 65 cases, 3 statewide recounts, and had a big success. But I think that what we learned from that is just the ruthlessness and the scale and the scope of what Donald Trump and the Republicans are willing to do. He was willing to incite a violent insurrection on January 6th after losing all of those lawsuits. Then we saw the Republican Party unite behind election denialism as their organizing principle. And remember, Donald Trump fired the former chair of the RNC and put in place Michael Whatley with the charge of don't worry about getting out the vote, just worrying about building this voter suppression war machine. And so it's not a surprise that we are seeing that voter suppression war machine now take root around the country. I have a message to Michael Whatley and to Donald Trump. He's not going to get away with it. And if they keep up what they're doing, they're going to keep losing, just like they did in 2020.
I mean, to Mark's point, they are making a lot of false claims about their thing is these non-citizens voting, which is, to be very clear, it is illegal if you're not a citizen of the United States of America to vote. And so people are not just passing out ballots to people who are not United States citizens. But Donald Trump and the RNC would have you believe that they are. And Donald Trump even, he called for a government shutdown over this proof of citizenship voting bill. In an interview on Thursday, Donald Trump, according to the Washington Post, called on Republicans in Congress to shut down the federal government next month if a government spending bill does not include legislation that would mandate proof of citizenship when registering to vote. I would note current federal financing expires September 30th. This is crazy, but it's very intentional.
It's very intentional, and we saw this before. Mark talked about 2020. We saw this actually in 2017 when Donald Trump was concerned that he lost the popular vote and didn't want, or that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, that he lost the popular vote, and he didn't want Americans to believe that. And so even in the early days of the prior Trump administration, he started trying to engage in these tactics to intimidate voters. I think we've seen the American people have overcome that and will continue to overcome that. But it is very intentional and it can be very harmful to our democracy.
I want to go a little bit further with you on this particular point, Skye. You had Trump on mail-in voting last night in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, saying this.
The elections are so screwed up.
We have to get back in and we have to change it all. We want to go to paper ballots. We want to go to same-day voting. We want to go to citizenship papers, and we want to go to voter ID. It's very simple. We want to get rid of mail-in voting.
So, again, we're back in this space where we're talking about getting rid of a feature of voting in this country, which is vital to the success of our system because it allows a lot of people who otherwise would not be able to participate, namely seniors, who are in large measure incapable of going out to the voting places. And so,
namely Republicans. Republicans used to have the monopoly of mail-in voting. It's like he don't want to win elections. I don't know.
We won in 2010, but y'all don't want to win that way. That's fine on me. I'm not running anything. So, if I were running it, well, it wouldn't have Donald Trump. But so the reality of it is these tools and mechanisms are essential elements of a campaign success. How do you convey to voters the sense that these things still have a value when you have someone in the idiocracy telling them, oh, you don't want to do that. We need to change this. We're going to rewrite the rules to make it more fair, when, in fact, there's been no proven fraud. There's been no proven breakdown in our system.
I think the American people are seeing that. You see a full rebuke of this Project 2025 agenda. And by the way, there's a number of voter suppression mechanisms in Project 2025, from weaponizing the DOJ and others. And you see voters are rejecting that. People are rejecting that, which is why the MAGA extremists are having to double down on their voter suppression agenda. I think there have been a lot of good public education efforts and work on the ground across the country to make sure people understand that it's vital that they vote, that they can vote. Our Constitution protects that. Our federal legislation protects that. State laws even protect it. And I think that, that's really what this fight is about right now.